In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the different panes in RStudio to interact with R. I'm also going to show you how to create variables and also a data sheet. All right, so on the left-hand side here, we have the console, and we can type commands into the console to give instructions to R, and then R will communicate back with us in the console. But the problem with the console is that the work that we do here is not saved. It disappears once you close RStudio. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this icon in the top right corner here, and notice that now we have a new pane in the top left corner. This is called a scripts pane, and then the console has been moved down below it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to enter our commands or our code into the scripts pane, and then we can run it from the scripts pane. It'll still appear in the console, but now we can save the scripts pane and save our work that way. All right, so first thing we want to do is give it or save it, right? So go File, Save As, we give it a name here, just use the default location, whatever that is. I've already done this, so I'm not going to save a new one. And the one I made is called Psych292 2021. So we see in Files, right? This is where your file is going to appear. And you can click on it here, and then it opens it in the scripts pane. I no longer need the untitled one. All right, so what I have here in the scripts pane so far is the code to make a numerical variable and also a character variable. All right, so look at the code. We say age, and then we have this left arrow dash, and then C with a bracket, 18, 19, 20. What this is saying is take these three values, 18, 19, 20, and put them together. That's what the C function is doing here. C stands for concatenate, or to put together. And then assign them, that's what the left arrow is designating here, to a vector or a variable called age. Notice that we've done the same thing here for a character variable, but notice that the characters have to be in quotation marks, right? So it's saying take these three characters, Bo, Luke, and Daisy, put them together using the concatenate function, and assign them to a variable called Dukes. Now to execute code in the console, all you have to do is hit return or enter, depending on whether you have a Mac or Windows. But to execute code from the scripts, you have to use Command Return on a Mac or Control R on a Windows machine. All right, so I'm using Mac, so I'm going to use Command Return. And notice that it executed the code that I had on the row that my cursor was on. The code has now appeared in the console. And if we look up in our environment, we can see that we have a new variable called age, with values 18, 19, and 20. It's a numerical variable, one row, three values. If I place my cursor beside the second line of code, Command Return or Control R if you're using Windows, code appears here. And now we have another new variable here. This one's a character variable with values Bo, Luke, and Daisy. Again, one vector or one column with three values. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to put these two things together into a data sheet. And so we need a new name, and we're going to call this one cousins. And again, we need the assignment operator. Right? So what are we going to assign to cousins? Now what we need is a new function. It's called data frame. Data. So notice that when I start to type, R will start to suggest different things that I might be looking for. And in fact, data frame is exactly what I want. So, and also that gives you extra information here so you can learn more about R as you use R. And so I'm going to use data frame, and it's already put in some brackets for me. And now what am I going to put into my data frame? Well, I'm going to put in the vector Dukes, and then comma, and age. All right, and then Command Return or Control F, and Control R, beg your pardon. And so again, you see the code is here. And now I have a data sheet or a data frame called cousins. It's got three observations on two variables. Now, I might want to look at those. So now I'm just going to use the console, and I'll type in cousins. Oops. So we can see the data frame, and there it is. So we've got 3 cases, case 1, 2, 3, with 2 variables, Dukes and age. So we know that Bo is 18, Luke is 19, and Daisy is 20. If we want to use another command, function, beg your pardon, and it's going to be called the edit function. So edit, and then bracket, and then I'm going to type in cousins. So what I want to do is I want to edit the data frame cousins, and then command return. And then notice that we get this data editor that pops up for us. If you're using a Mac and you have not installed the X-Quartz, then this will not work for you. But once you install the X-Quartz, then the data editor in R will work. So notice that we have the same information here as we do down here, but I can actually edit this. I can change it. So let's say Bo is actually 17, and then quit. And then notice that in our console, it's updated, and with the new information, Bo is 17. So that information is changed in our data sheet. It is not changed, notice, in the original variable age, okay? All right, one more thing I want to show, and that is packages. And I'll just do this in a moment. All right, so here we have different things that can be imported in and out of R. Not everything is in there all the time. So one of the really useful things is something called mass, and this is a whole collection of different data sets that you can play with. And the way that you include it, so notice that when I deselected it, it detached it, and when I click inside of it, it brings it back in, and now it's available. Now what's in mass? Well, we can click on the mass right here, and we can see what's in it. And like I said, it's a whole collection of different data sets. These are all different data sets. And now that it's been attached, we can call any of these data sets and we can use them. So for example, we can see that there's one called anorexia data on weight change. So if I'm in the console and I type anorexia, notice that it already recognizes that the data sheet is available. So I can just click it there. And there it is. We have 72 cases with 3 different variables: the treatment condition, the pre-weight of the individual, and the post-weight of the individual. Anyway, that's a really handy thing to know about and to play with. Anyway, that's it for this tutorial.